Jake had always been a rational man. Ghost stories, urban legends, and paranormal encounters were nothing more than over-exaggerated tales to him. So when he found an unbelievably cheap apartment in an old building downtown, he didn't think twice. The landlord seemed nervous when handing over the keys, muttering something about trim-thin walls. But Jake didn't pay much attention. His first night was uneventful. The apartment was small but cozy. However, just as he was about to drift off to sleep, he heard something, a faint whisper. At first he thought it was the neighbors. The walls were thin after all, but the voice didn't sound like normal conversation. It was hushed, desperate, and it was saying his name, Jake. His body stiffened. He sat up in bed, heart pounding. He strained his ears, but the whispering had stopped. After a few moments of silence, he chuckled to himself. Just my imagination. The next night, it happened again. This time, the whispering was clearer. Help me, please. Jake froze. The voice was coming from inside the walls. His breath hitched as he placed a trembling hand against the old, cracked paint. Hello, and he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. No answer. He shook his head. Maybe it was just the pipes. Old buildings made weird noises, right? He convinced himself it was nothing and forced himself to sleep. But the third night was different. The whispering started again. But this time it wasn't just a voice. It was crying. Soft, agonized sobs echoing from inside the walls. Jake had had enough. He grabbed his phone and called the landlord, his hands shaking as he held the device to his ear. Hello? The landlord answered groggily. Jake exhaled sharply. Listen, I need to ask you something. Is there something wrong with this apartment? Because I keep hearing, or which apartment are you in? No, the landlord interrupted, his voice suddenly serious. 306 p.m. The line was silent. Sir? Jake pressed. Then, in a hushed voice, the landlord muttered, We sealed that room 10 years ago. Jake's blood ran cold. What? The last tenant. She went missing. We searched everywhere but the cops. They never checked the walls. Jake felt the color drain from his face. And then, right next to his ear, he heard a dry, rasping breath. Slowly, he turned his head toward the wall. A crack was forming. The old paint splintered as the drywall bulged outward. Something inside was moving. Jake stumbled back, his breath caught in his throat as a skeletal hand pushed through the crack. Fingers twitching, a face followed, pale, hollow eyes staring right at him. The whispering turned into a chilling, inhuman screech. Jake ran. He didn't bother packing, didn't stop to turn off the lights, he just ran. The next day, the landlord found apartment 306 empty. Jake's belongings remained untouched. But on the wall near the bed, there was something new, scratches on the paint. A single word carved deep into the wall, Run.